Hello my friends, Luke here. I've got game 3 of Blood in the Sun for you. 2,400 delicious points of Orcs and Goblins versus Vampire Counts. And as my opponent comes up to the table, I'm kind of maniacally rubbing my hands together. Because if there's one thing I know, it's how to make Vampire Counts lose. I'm not good with making them win, but I think I can leverage that here to crumble my opponent to dust. If my past performance is any indication, it shouldn't be any difficulty whatsoever. So, this is a weird game for game 3. We have a diagonal deployment, and each team has one of these icons. You can see it in the middle of the screen. That's my opponent's with Grant Fetter's face on a demonette. The goal is to kill your opponent's icon and protect your own. In this case, based on, there was kind of a variable amount of battle points that would be for protecting and killing your opponents, but suffice it to say that because of the performance in the last game, you were going to get 4 points if you keep your icon alive, and 1 point if you kill your opponents. So it's kind of a defensive, kind of aggressive thing going on. It could have been kind of the other way, where it was all about killing. In this case, it's about defending. So my Vampire Counts player is deployed like this. Remember, it's a diagonal deployment. So he's keeping a horde of ghouls to protect the front of his icon, and a group of zombies that he's got back there to do the same. Next, 2 Terrorgeists right behind a horde of Graveguard with great weapons and the Banner of the Barrows. I'm thinking, oi, Death Star-y. Okay, this is going to be bad. Death Star with some pretty strong screaming support. Yeesh. Okay, we can deal with this, I'm thinking. He's got also 2 groups of Direwolves, 1 Doomwolf painted red in the middle there. He must have had some extra points. Then another 2 groups of Direwolves flanking the Graveguard. Inside that horde of Graveguard for characters, he has a White King BSB, which is kind of the sleeper hero for the Vampire Counts. 3 wounds, toughness 5. He's a good hero. Then he's got a Vampire hero, which are always pretty great, with Quick Blood and the Dispel Scroll and level 1. And then he has Count Manfred. Oh, Manfred. That son of a bitch has 5 wounds and is a lore master of both death and vampires. That's not good for me. It's really not good for me as Orcs and Goblins. Like, death is the lore I hate the most, I think, with the Orcs and Goblins, with the low leadership and the low initiative, and oh, Manfred. Plus, if Manfred gets into combat and he has any unsaved wounds, or he deals out any unsaved wounds, he's feeding his next Dispel or Magic phase. Like, every wound adds a Dispel or Power dice, so it's like, holy crap, I really have to watch out for that horde. Hopefully I can stomp the shit out of him. On my side, you can see I've deployed pretty aggressively. It's the same strategy I was doing last time. Throw squigs and goblins first, try to muck up the works, and focus on that horde if I can. Try to get the numbers down. Then coming up right behind will be the savages and the black orcs. I'm going to keep just the trolls behind to protect my my icon, which is kind of a mistake in hindsight. It was worth 4 points. If my opponent knows what he's doing at this point, he could easily keep those Terrorgeists behind his Graveguard, fly him up and over, and scream at the icon. So I'm sorry, I haven't gone over the icon stats. It's basically an unmovable, it can't move and you can't move it by any means. It's unbreakable. It doesn't benefit from any cover. It has weapon skill 1, toughness 6, and 6 wounds. All other stats are 0. So I'm thinking, okay, they really want you to get in combat with it, but my opponent has 2 Terrorgeists. If all the other stats are 0, they're immediately going to kill it. So someone actually asked that question and shouted it out pretty quickly. What about Terrorgeists? And they kind of made an on-the-spot errata that said it has leadership 10. So that way, it passes all characteristic tests. That was in the packet. But a Terrorgeist isn't, screaming at it. It's just a comparison. It's not a test. So at least there's, leadership 10 is not always a given, especially if your Terrorgeist has wounds on it, but he's got 2 there, so that's got to be my primary focus, whittling down the horde and getting those Terrorgeists out of the way. Looking at my right flank here, you can see I've got my double Doomdivers and my Arachnarok and my Goblin. Maybe they can go right for it, or at least get some flanks on some Terrorgeists and help out. My opponent wins first turn, and he kind of vanguards. You can see what he's doing there. We're only 12 inches apart, so he really can't vanguard anywhere meaningful. And we go to Vampire Counts turn 1. Now my opponent was either kind of new to the game or didn't really know how Orcs and Goblins worked. So I was explaining it to him, and I kind of gave him advice. And I always do that with especially my Manglers and other things like Fanatics, because I'm like, okay, here's what they're going to do, and here's how you kill them. So with his movement, he walks onto the first Mangler. That was just bad placement by me. Of course that was going to happen. I think I kind of put him out early as chaff. Yeah, either that or I just screwed up. But he walks on one, and the other one basically stops right where that arrow is. It can't get close enough to walk on the Mangler, the red one. The rest of his group just kind of march forward. One group of dire wolves charges my goblins. I do a stand and shoot, but before that I release my fanatics, and I stop one right in front of the dog so that he has to run over it, taking double the hits, and those dire wolves explode before they even get into contact with the goblins. The other fanatic I shoot right out in front of the graveguard, so he has to walk over it and take some damage, is the hope. So that's really it for movement. He's keeping one of the Terrorgeists back. The other one has flown left. I think I have a picture here. Yeah, you can see where it's flown left over here. My opponent's ignore those two groups of dogs in the back. My opponent just was kind of pulling them back, not really keeping them off the table. So they're not there. But you can see where he's got his one dogs right in front of my Mangler and then the Terrorgeist back there. If I get really lucky, I can bounce through both of them, but that would have to be some long distance on the Mangler. So we go to the magic phase. It's 7 dice to 3. Manfred knows both death and vampires. So this is going to be rough. First thing he does is throw out a Spirit Leech on my general. So he's got leadership 10, I got leadership 8. And I use my Dispel Scroll on that right away, and I'm not too afraid of it. Spirit Leech rarely does anything to me, even when I'm at a disadvantage. So I'm like, I'll throw the Dispel Scroll out now because my intent is to throw my goblins into his wolves and then overrun into his Terrorgeist. You can see on the right there. So I'm going to lose that thing probably if that could go south or anything. I mean, a lot of stuff can happen with goblins. So let's get rid of the Dispel Scroll right away because I'm not bunkering him back. So I dispel that, and then he goes to cast Purple Sun. He throws the remaining 3 dice at it, and he gets Irresistible Force. So we resolve the spell, we'll talk about that in a minute, and then he rolls and he gets Snake Eyes. So he's going into the warp. So he uses his tournament reroll, actually, to, I think, do the explosion. Either that or to save him from going into the warp, because he either did that and rolled a 1, or he was going in and then he re-rolled that. But Manfred is still live. That would have been just devastating for him. He has a normal miscast, but I can't stop it. You can see where the Purple Sun lands. It lands basically right on top of the squigs. Doesn't go that far, so it has to drift past him. Kills like 12 and gives him a bunch of dice back. And then with the miscast, he ends up losing the rest of his dice and doesn't go into the warp. So that even though he kills 12, it ends his phase. So now I've got that Purple Sun parked right in front of the Savages. I'm like, damn it, I can't go anywhere. But yeah, at least it didn't. I mean, he was aiming. You can see, I don't know, it's kind of tough to see in this picture. Usually he's going to clip the BSB and the General, and it's like, oh, God, that would have been painful. And that's basically it. We go to Orcs and Goblins turn 1. I fail Animosity on my Goblins and have to charge, but I was kind of wanting to do that anyway. So they go into the dogs, and I charge my Arachnarok as well, because I want to overrun with both. And it looks like my Arachnarok can clip here. I have to maximize models, so that's the best I could do. I charge my... it looks like I charged... You know what? I bet I failed. Yeah, I bet I'm looking at my notes from the tournament. It's probably wrong. I know I wanted to charge the Goblins into the dogs. I bet I failed Animosity on those, on the Squig Herd, who had to charge in, because it looks like I charged over my Fanatic as well. Probably took a few hits there doing that. So they're in. Hopefully I'll blow up and take some Graveguard down. I don't think I was going to charge right away anyway, so that must be what happens. Officially, we'll say that's what happens. And my goal is to charge and overrun. I'm pretty sure when we actually come to this, I'm not able to go straight through. Like if I overrun at the Arachnarok, he's not going to clip the Terrorgeist just because of how I had to maximize the models. The Savages are stuck because of the Vortex. The Trolls just move a bit, but not too much. The Mangler gets just too little to hit the Terrorgeist, but now he's out of control. He does kill the other group of dogs, but I'm not. You can see I didn't make it all the way through to the Terrorgeist. We go to Magic. I don't remember what the total was, but I have just enough power dice to move the Mangler away from the Terrorgeist Scream. So he's going to end up basically right there. Yep, there he is, right behind the Graveguard. Now, hopefully, what I'm hoping for is the random distance, the random direction puts me right through the back of the, well, if I'm lucky, back through the back of the Graveguard and into the Terrorgeist, but we'll see. I keep the rest of my dice. I only get that one spell off, and you can see that purple X where I dispel the Purple Sun, because, yeah, no thank you. That does not need to go through my guys. And both Doom Divers, unfortunately, in the shooting phase misfire. I think I lose one. I don't think I lost both. But, yeah, 2 misfires sucks, because there are 2 Terrorgeists who desperately need to die. We go to the close combat phase, and it's an easy kill on the dogs, and I overrun to the Terrorgeist, which is good, because I don't think, even with his Scream and his Thunderstomp and attacks, that he's going to be able to, he's really going to be able to kill them all, or at least take away Steadfast. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. And you can see I just reformed with the Arachnarok because like there was just no way. In the last picture, it looked like I could clip him in the flank. It was just not going to happen. So I'll charge on my turn. Hopefully those guys will still be there. You know what? This was just, I mean, like I said, I think I had to charge by Animosity, but this is one of those things where I think I need to put the Night Goblins first in most instances because my 2 attacks went first, didn't do that much. It normally would have done a good amount against the Graveguard, but his vampires just killed friggin' everything before they got to go. Vampire, Manfred, and the White King. It was kind of a mistake because now I've actually added dice to his casting in the next phase. So that's bad, bad, bad. And I got no explosion. He just straight up killed them all. Very, very sad. So we go to Vampire turn 2. He moves forward. He's not able to make the charge, so he doesn't really even try it. And everything else is kind of locked down or back there guarding his icon. We go to the Magic phase. It's 11 dice to 5. You can see 11 to 5. Manfred has a commanding lead because of the extra kills he got on Squigs. He throws 4 dice Spirit Leech out first, and I let that one go on my general, because like I said, Spirit Leech usually doesn't do anything. You have to get the spell off, and then you have to beat a combined, a D6 plus leadership check, and, he's got a +2 there, but it might not do anything, and then I still get to save versus it. And so that's exactly what happens. I end up winning the roll by 2, so we tie, and it's like, yay, okay, nothing happens. Then he casts Purple Sun again. It goes off on all. You throw 6 dice at it. I can't stop it. And he only kills 7, which is actually really lucky because he got, a direct hit through the BSB and through the general. Goes all the way through. Didn't even get that many dice back out of it. I'm considering myself lucky that it's right there and it stops before it hits the Doom Diver. And then the last thing he does is try to Caress on my general, Caress of Lanif, and he fails to do anything with it, which is fantastic. In shooting and close combat together, the Terrorgeist only kills 10, which is pretty decent, and I pass. I think I'm re-rollable this time, but I'm definitely Steadfast, and I pass it, even on the Goblin's crappy leadership, so I pass it, and I'm sticking around. And here's just a picture end of turn. So you can tell we're about to get real bloody real fast. And this is exactly what I want. Those Graveguard are not that whittled down yet. And he has a lot of character power up front. But screw it. I want to go. So we go to Greenskins turn 2. I charge. I'm able to get in the flank with the Black Orcs. And I'm able to get right in the front with the Savages. And it's exactly what I want. The Mangler goes flying right off the table. So he's no help at all. And then I'm able to get a flank charge with the Arachnarok into the Terrorgeist, which I'm not worried about taking him out with that, but now I definitely have the combat res for it. And I'm just kind of going forward with my Goblin hero, seeing what he can do. In Magic, I'm able to get Fist of Gork off, but he stops rerolls from Sneaky Stabbing that I wanted to put on the Black Orcs, and he gets... I think I went for Here We Go as well, and I think he got that off. But regardless, when the phase is all said and done, my Shaman just has +3 magic attacks at +3 strength. So, better than nothing. I'm able to kill the Terrorgeist easily before he can Thunder Stomp and reform to face the objective, going up and over the building now. I think he somehow managed to kill one of my guys and put 1 wound on me. I don't know if he split attacks or what was going on there, but I definitely killed him, and we didn't get to the Thunder Stomp period. So I feel good about that. This is a picture before combat is fully done. So before the Savages go, this I think is just... No, this is before his Graveguard go. The Savages have gone. And the Black Orcs, I think, also had extra hand weapons, so they must have gone too. First thing I do, weather the attacks from the vampires. And Manfred goes, and he's trying to take out my general. He just kind of whiffs, I think. Or maybe either that or he went in the rank and file. I can't remember exactly how he allocated his attacks. But his heroes went, and then it was my turn. And I put all my heroes' attacks, my BSB's attacks, and every single damn Savage that could hit on Manfred. When it was all said and done, I landed exactly 5 wounds, which is exactly how many Manfred had. And because of how huge my frontage is and how big his frontage was, the rest of the attacks were like 17 wounds on the rank and file. That was huge. His general's dead, so he's definitely going to crumble. He's going to crumble at least once. A bunch of the other attacks in there, like his vampire hero is not dead at this point, so he could still take over as the general, but that's a lot of combat res coming at him with the flank, everything in my BSB, and I think I might have killed his BSB as well. But all said and done, he crumbled to oblivion, so I don't have to worry about it. The general's dead, there's no backup caster, I overrun, and then reform with the Black Orcs. And this is what it looks like at the end. Now, if you know vampire counts like I do, you know it's over for him. There's nothing he can do except wait and crumble. And this is his turn 3, top of turn 3. So we start on, I think it's at the end of his turn or eventually. This is just the best picture I had. That Terrorgeist crumbles. So my trolls are over there thinking, all right, he doesn't have any March bubble, so he can't fly and get close enough to scream at my icon. And now he's already starting to crumble. The Terrorgeist, poof, just goes away. So my trolls are perfectly fine, which is good because my general's outside the leadership bubble now. Or my general is making them outside of his leadership bubble or whatever. The trolls are going to be stupid is what I'm trying to say. Vampire counts, I'm sorry, that was the bottom of turn 2. Now we go to the top of turn 3. He just crumbles a bit, and all he can do is try to protect his icon and hope like the crumbling's not that bad. You can see this weird picture. My opponent, he's not a sour guy, but he just lost the game really bad. And it was because I just got a bunch of attacks on Manfred. So he's crumbling to dust, and he has to kind of let my entire army come at him. And he's not picking up his models here at all. In fact, he's kind of already resigned it, right? So I don't really feel comfortable saying, hey, can you clean up the table so that I can take pictures that are better of my win? So what I did is just copy-paste a bunch of green over this to try to, the entire horde was there, dogs were there, Terrorgeists were there. So to try to clean up exactly how the battlefield looks, I've just done this crappy copy and paste job. So on his turn, all he does is crumble a bit, but he actually doesn't crumble that bad. I usually crumble way worse. We go to my turn, Greenskin's turn 3. I just move up as much as I can. I'm getting ready, move the goblins right up to the building. You can see my Doom Diver is just trying to whittle down those ghouls, because that force of ghouls is actually fairly dangerous. And I've got my goblin here, thinking, yeah, you can go ahead and charge. My goal is to get around you, and I'm pretty far away. I've only got 3 turns to get up and around that building and to get into combat with the thing, and I have to go with ghouls. So I'm going to have to pull something out of my butt here. Vampire counts turn 4. Let's see, what do we got? He just crumbles. I guess I don't have a good picture of it. It's just, he crumbles a bit, and he doesn't really do anything, so this is the best picture I had. Greenskin's turn 4, I put the goblins, I put the goblin into the ghouls. I know that's bad. He has poison and double attacks. I've got armor, and the thing I'm trying to avoid here, I'm fine with losing him. The thing I'm trying to avoid is him doing some sort of charge that stops me from I don't really know how I want to approach this thing. You can see the savages coming up around the corner of the top of the building. You can kind of just see them barely there. But I just want to avoid any surprises. So if I charge in, I've pinned him down at least a bit. And I think with my 3-up armor save, he's not going to be able to really get through very easily. I've got 3 wounds. So, yeah, I think with the charge, I should be fine on combat. He only has 1 rank and no banner on ghouls. The Arachnarok goes into the zombies, and the Black Orcs just are coming around the building while the goblins go into the building. In Magic, I am able to get Hand of Gork off because he can't really stop it. And this was my plan. Pick up my savages, cast it on themselves, and move them right behind the icon. That's exactly what I wanted. I make it. I'm able to get the distance on the large cast, and bloop, there I am. Now I'm going to get that extra point. With, I guess, just a close-up showing, my Savage Shaman still has Hand of Gork. My BSB is in there, and I'll put all the attacks on there I can. The Arachnarok, I guess this is a picture. Yeah, this is the last picture I have. So this represents Vampire Count's turn 5 and Greenskin's turn 5. The Arachnarok was able to kill the zombies after a couple of rounds, or at least my round and his round, and then he eventually did get enough hits through to kill my Goblin hero. But he killed them outright, so he didn't really do anything. We go to my turn, and I'm able to charge right in and put a bunch of wounds on it and just immediately kill the icon. There's just no problem there with savages, and even the big stabba, just it just does its job, and the thing goes down. So when we're all said and done, it's 2650 points. He was able to get 400-ish from me, so it was definitely a 20-0. I won by over 2,000 and some points. and I got my full 5 objective points. So it was a fun game. I kind of felt bad for my opponent because I know how bad that goes, and you know, when you've got a Death Star and the whole thing dies, especially with vampire counts, because you know at that point he still had a 300 or 250 point Terrorgeist flying around, and you know almost all of his core sitting there, but it just crumbles away. It's totally useless. In my opinion, that's a big thing about vampire counts. It should be changed, hopefully in the next edition. It just isn't a good feeling when you take that out either, and you're like, oh, I've still got 700 points here that can't do anything. My opponent's just going to dance around it. It's going to crumble. So it sucks for my opponent. It was pretty great for me because that was a huge victory, and that's going to propel me up, hopefully, to some. I think I'm going to be in the top 20 tables or right around the 20th table going into the Game 4 on day 2. So the rest of the night will be spent with drinking and playing board games with a bunch of really cool people. And that's it. Thanks for watching, guys.